Today I'm addressing a bit of a hot topic in the music learning community or in the cello learning community. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Emma Reeby. Welcome to my channel, Empowered Cello. I'm a cellist and educator, and I help learning cello make sense for adults who want to learn. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a video. Go back through the older videos if you're new here. See if you can find some quick wins on cello technique. And if you want more, you can download my free blueprint for adult beginners. Or if you want to skip all confusion, all questions, and just get straight to the deep work, you can learn about my course for the adult beginner cello foundations at the link in this video. One of the barriers to even beginning cello as an adult is trying to figure out what teacher to go through and what method of learning to use that would be best for you. It can probably feel like a bit of information overwhelm. Every teacher has their own version, opinions, etc. And you're taking in all of this information, trying to figure out what's going to be right for you. So I'm just here to give my 2 cents. I don't claim to know all by any means. I've just worked with a lot of adult beginners, and I've been a teacher for a very long time. So I'm here to share a little bit of my perspective, and if it's helpful for you, great. You may have come across the terms traditional cello lessons or Suzuki cello lessons, okay? And I'm going to break down briefly what each mean. Suzuki method of learning is a very sequential method of teaching instruments that begins with listening and imitation and does not begin with reading. Reading music is taught as a separate skill. You may have heard the myth that Suzuki musicians can't read music or Suzuki teachers don't teach reading music. Maybe there are some out there that don't do it, but that, in my opinion, that would be them doing a disservice to their students. Most great Suzuki teachers do teach reading. They just teach it separately from the beginning fundamentals of the instrument. And the reason for that is because when you are trying to synthesize all of this information and all of this physical setup that needs to be done, not only one set of technique on one side, but a whole nother set of technique on the other side, and you're trying to train your ears and learn how to internalize music, to add the extra layer of essentially learning a new language and how to translate that language, in my opinion, is overwhelm. I'm a Suzuki teacher. I do teach reading music. Absolutely. My students know how to read music well. They know how to read all the clefs. They play in orchestra, etc. But I don't teach it right at the beginning because I want this setup to be rock solid. I want them to have a strong, trained listening ear. That is why I don't teach music to the very, very beginners. Look, it doesn't take long until my students are learning to read music. After they're through very beginning phase of the first book of Suzuki pieces, or not all of my adults go straight to the Suzuki book just to mix it up and keep it fresh, but something comparable, then by their second year or even 6 months in, reading music. And from the beginning, I'm doing separate activities to build up their musical vocabulary, okay? So that's Suzuki method. How I teach, I have my own sort of version of everything for adults because Suzuki method sort of started as a program that starts with young children. Now, traditional cello lessons, they call it traditional, begins with reading music and is very repertoire focused. And that's all fine and dandy too. And I know tons of fabulous cellists who are traditional cello students. I just know a little bit less about that method because that's not how I was trained. The main difference though in philosophy is when you introduce reading music. For Suzuki, it's delayed so that there's a heavy focus on setup and listening. Traditional, you learn it right from the beginning. All that to be said, I did not include reading music in my course for the adult beginner cello foundations because the course is establishing your cello foundations, your physical foundations, your listening ear, your technical foundations. That does not mean that learning to read music is not important to me or important for my students. That's just not what my course, Cello Foundations, is centered around. Now look, I've had a lot of adult cello students, and the ones that have committed to waiting and committed to internalizing the music that they learn and playing from that memory, I don't love the term memorization because I think it has a negative connotation of this miserable process of trying to remember note by note. That's actually not the case. What I teach is internalization of music, listening to the music repeatedly and learning it that way, when you have it in your brain, you will remember it so quickly, especially once you get familiar with some left-hand patterns. So the students I have that have committed to that internalization of music, they're heavily listening to the music and they're sort of synchronizing that with what's happening on the cello. Their technique is stronger than the students who are simultaneously trying to decipher what the notes are on the page, because the moment you get really focused on that, I mean, we can't do everything all at once. Their technique does suffer and their sound does suffer. So from my experience, the students who have really committed to delaying playing off the music and have committed to internalizing do progress faster technique-wise, and they absolutely read music down the line, versus the students who wanted to do it right away. They wanted to read off the music. We had to move through more challenges, more delays. We had to rework things a lot more. I hope this spiel today gave you some things to think about when it comes to your own cello learning journey. I'm sure there will be plenty of comments and opinions, and that is okay. Again, I am not claiming to be the big expert here. I'm just sharing a bit of my experience.